So they would get the girls for free, right? And they're not good customers. They're like grabbing them, trying to finger them, take them to the bathroom and rape them and type of stuff. Wow. One time I walked in to the room and the lieutenant is dry humping the girl on the speaker like hard, and she just turns around, looks at me like, "Help me," like, you know, and I'm like, what the fuck did I just walk into?
Damn, that's some real bad guy shit.
What I mean? So then they'll do all their business in the bathroom. The owner will go in the bathroom with them, and then he'll come back out, you know, happy or whatever, because they're paying him off. Right? I didn't know at the time. I thought it was just like, yo, these guys are wild. Like, you know, and I told intern I was like, yo, these guys are wild. Like, and it's not just them. It's when they go out, it's like the lieutenant, it's the detective, it's a different sergeant, it's, you know, people from Vice, it's people like a captain out there, you know, like, it's wild. And they're hanging out with gangsters. And I'm telling them, yo, they're hanging out with gangsters because I know these people. You know, somebody's trying to put fake rape charges on you. He's like, oh, okay. I think I might have an idea who it is. Like, if
he's not even surprised.
Yeah. Like,
Holy shit.
He was like, if I mention his name, just, you know, give me a wink or something, right? And he's like,
man, like, aren't you concerned for your life?
I grew up in
because, you know, especially during that time, snitches get stitches.
They believe cops should be cops and gangsters are gangsters. You can't be both.
Oh shit.
Yes.
Whoa,
so,
big story. Whoa.
So,
mind blown, bro.
Are you kidding?
No.
What?
So this,
I didn't see this twist.
I got
twist.
You're destroying the ending.
Oh,
Spoiler alert.
Sorry, man.
I'm a detective.
Yeah. Spoiler. The ending is
Lucky Boys Podcast.
I'm going off track. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
2013 got promoted, and I wanted to work in a neighborhood that I like, my own community where I could help, right? And I got transferred to 109 precinct, which is Flushing. I was happy. It was a good commute. My dream precinct because I get to help my people, and you know, it's where I shop or whatever and stuff like that. And I have friends in the neighborhood, and you know, it feels good helping somebody that you know was helping somebody that you could relate to, right? It's like looking out for family or something.
Yeah, you know the story there.
Yeah. So
you can empathize. You have a strong empathy.
Right. Especially when you see a lot of police officers ignore them and disregard them because of communication barriers or they don't understand our culture and they don't respect us, or so forth and so on. So I felt like I was making a big difference. So I became the conditions crime sergeant, which meant, like, you know, we did plainclothes sometimes. We'll go out. We dress the conditions of the precinct like rims and tire jobs. Like, people come over from the Bronx because the Whitestone Bridge is right there. People will come over from the bridge and steal rims and tires and stuff like that, or motorcycles.
Oh, yeah.
You know, or a burglary condition. Whatever condition it is in the precinct, we target that condition to try to address it. All right, more like targeting policing, which is like, okay, this area has a high spike of robberies, right? Or downtown Flushing has a high spike of strong arm robberies, where kids are misguided kids are robbing Asian folks who are going to the ATM and coming out, because a lot of them were business owners and they went to the bank to pay in cash. Right.
Carrying a lot of cash.
Right, like 30 grand in cash. Right. And as they're coming out of the bank, they'll target them and, you know, steal their purse or whatever, and so forth and so on. So we address certain conditions. One day I was driving my lieutenant, Lieutenant Robert Sung. He's Korean. He's been at that precinct for years. One day I'm driving him to the pizza shop, and he goes, hey, you know, we got to get rid of this commanding officer. So I have to give you a reason why he would say something like that.
That sounds crazy to me already. Like, yeah. That's like
the commanding officer of the precinct that you guys are working at. Okay.
So I have to give you a little backstory why he would say that, right? So this is the backstory of the 109 precinct.
That's a mob shit right there.
Yeah. This is not the first time that officers were arrested from 109 precinct for taking briberies and stuff like that, for corruption. All right. When I asked to go there, the person that helped me get there actually warned me Steve, don't come here. I don't want you to get mixed up in anything. You know, if you do come here, you have to be very careful which cop you associate with, and which, you know, where you associate, and, you know, who you talk to, whatever. Also, it's a very hot precinct right now. I think the feds have, you know, a case.
Holy
whatever,
shit!
Right. So when I first went there, they're like, "Oh, watch out for over here, Casino Main Street. You know, the library. That camera, FBI is tapped into, whatever, and so forth and so on. You know, they're watching the precinct because." When I went there, like recently around that time, or a couple of years before I got there, right? There was 2 police officers. One is, I think, Polish, and the other one was Korean. They got arrested for shaking down a massage parlor. I don't know if you guys heard of that, right?
No.
So, from what I heard, was they used to go around robbing gambling houses, right?
The police officers?
Yes, in uniform.
What?
Yes. So they'll be like,
weren't they concerned about cameras?
No, because it's illegal gambling houses, right?
Oh, illegal. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they can't report it. Like a poker, like let's say poker night.
Yeah.
Actually, we might actually have a mutual friend. I don't want to mention him on camera.
Okay.
Right.
We probably do.
Yeah, we have a mutual friend that could vouch for that because he was there.
Wow.
He's the one that told me the story. Right.
Wow.
So he said they would come in. And in uniform, act like they're coming to respond to a job. Tell everybody to empty out their pockets, right? Everybody empty out their pockets, pull the cash on the table, right? Take all the cash and just leave.
No arrest. They basically
No
just robbed
arrest.
everybody.
Who they're gonna call, the cops?
Yeah, no.
Yeah. No arrest, no nothing.
Yeah.
And this was like a regular thing to them, right? So people were like pissed off. Like the underground people were pissed off at them already, right?
Yeah.
And then you know, that kind of stuff was happening. So the reason why they went to this massage parlor, was because they heard that they had $1 million in cash in that massage parlor. It was like something else going on, something shady going on there. And they wanted to rob the place, right? So they went to that massage parlor and they're like, where's the money? And they're like, oh, we don't have no money here. They searched the place, everything. They couldn't find the money. They said, we're going to come back and that money better be here, right? They couldn't find the money because the same person told me the story. The money was hidden in the ceiling panel.
The ceiling panels.
Yeah, so they couldn't find the money. So these people now, they call internal affairs. Mm-hmm. And you're like, this is what happened, blah, blah, internal.
The gambling parlors and the massage place call internal affairs?
Right. So when they call...
A strong arm move.
When they call internal affairs, but they didn't tell them about the...
I think they asked for too much.
Yeah, they didn't talk. They didn't talk about the money that was in the ceiling panel.
Of course not.
They were just like, we're a legit business.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
They're coming in trying to extort money from us, you know, whatever. So they call internal affairs. They're like, tell them to come back and tell them that you have $10,000 for them or whatever, right? And then they came back and they arrested them. Right?
Oh,
the cops.
So they fell for the bait. The cops fell for the bait.
Right. They arrested the 2 cops.
Yeah.
Now those 2 cops, they were part of a conditions team, which is what I was the supervisor of after them, right? So they were part of a conditions team. That old conditions team, that detective that I arrested, I'll tell you guys about later, was part of that team. The sergeant was so dirty that he actually had partnership in New World Mall, which is on Roosevelt.
New World Mall, with all the food and restaurants and
so when that happened,
shopping,
when that happened, he transferred out because he didn't want to, be in the heat. So he transferred out to like Fleet Services
to lay low,
right, and sold his shares in all the businesses because he didn't want to get traced back, right. So he left. But some of the people were still there, like that detective was still there. So the detective originally was the one that introduced that sergeant into the thing, and the sergeant had eventually kicked him off. It's like, I'm the sergeant, I'm controlling, this is my operation now, right? It's my money, right? And then when that sergeant left, he was happy, and then he started moving back in, the detective, right? Controlling the area. Now what happened is the lieutenants, the way that the precinct was structured, the lieutenants ran the precinct, not the commanding officers. The lieutenants ran the precincts. if you weren't getting along with the lieutenant, you would get the crappy assignments, like I said before, the dead body or, you know, the bad prisoner, so forth and so on. You can't get vacation days off, so on and so on. So the cops were miserable. So the cops union, the PBA, actually brung in this new commanding officer to bring up the morale.
Okay.
They hear that he's a good guy. He used to work upstairs in the squad, in detective squad, as a lieutenant also. But now he comes back as a captain, and, you know, he wants to clean house and bring morale back to the cops, right? So they brung him in. The lieutenants tried to get their union to bring in their own guy,
Right.
but the cops union is bigger, is stronger, and brung this guy in. So Conforti came in, and that's why the lieutenant was like, we need to get rid of this guy. Because Conforti knew that something shady was going on, right? But he didn't have any evidence, whatever. But he hears it from the cops, because like sometimes we're doing enforcement, and then Lieutenant Sung or Detective Yam or another sergeant, which is Sergeant Bang, right? And other cops, whatever. They'll sometimes call and be like, hey, you know, what you doing? Leave that place alone. Okay, do me a favor, let this guy go, so forth and so on. And cops were like, yo, let me do my job. You know, if I caught drugs here, I'm arresting the person. Let me do my job. Right. So sometimes
they were connected to some businesses, and then when they were doing the right thing, arresting the bad guy, then hey, that's my buddy over there, and then they make a phone call, and then you're saying it was like a catch and release.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Man, that's like a movie, man.
No, it is.
Like a Batman movie, like Gotham City, and you see some of the corruption.
It's worse, though. It's like, have you ever seen...
It's worse?
Yeah, it's...
Worse than Batman Gotham City? I don't know about that.
No, it's like... if you ever seen The Corruptor with Chung Yun Fat?
Yes, and Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah. So it's kind of like The Corruptor mixed with Internal Affairs with Andy Lau.
Wow.
Kind of like that. Wow. All right. So check this out. He goes, hey, we need to get rid of this guy, right? And I go, oh, why don't you make a phone call, right? Call your hook or whatever.
Get rid of the commanding officer.
Right.
Okay.
So I was like, hey, why don't you make a phone call, whatever, right? And he's like, no, that won't work. He's well liked up top too, right? I mean, upper brass.
Upper brass, yeah.
Right. He's well liked up top too. That won't work. I was like, okay, what do you know, so what are you talking about then? He's like, yo, Steve, man, we need to get like one of these girls in the karaoke's to say that he raped her or something.
Like create a false allegation?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
So the reason why he said the karaoke's was because we used to do checks there, right? Like, you know, is everything going on? Is there a fight going on? Or you have your license and stuff like that, liquor license, everything going around, everything good. I didn't know at the time he controls some of them places. So it was highly doable for him, right?
Your partner?
No, the lieutenant.
Oh, the lieutenant.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would never have a partner like that.
Oh, I was about to say,
no
like,
way,
dude.
Bro. No way. So the lieutenant was like, hey, try to find somebody, right? I'm like, okay, sure. So I thought he was playing around. He was maybe venting. He was mad, right? Sometimes people say wild things when they're mad or whatever, true. Right? So I waited a week. Throughout the whole week, kept on bringing it up. Hey, Steve, did you find a girl yet? Hey, Steve, you found a girl yet? And I was like, no. I'm looking though.
So you thought it was gonna pass over, and he just kept.
But
pressing.
He kept on bringing it up. So I was like, damn, this dude is serious, right? At that time, I was dating the Japanese female. She was a stripper, and sometimes she would work in those places, right? And you know, I talked it over with her, and she was like, you gotta definitely, you know, tell him, give him the heads up, you know, give the commanding officer a heads up. And I was like, you're right, because I have a guilty conscience. It was bothering the crap out of me. This guy is a family man. He comes in with his wife and kids all the time to the precinct. And, you know, he's a great guy, gentleman. Right?
He's a good, decent human being.
Right.
So why did the lieutenant want to remove so they could do more?
Because he was messing with their money, because he was on to them, I think. Right?
So they could have
because he was restricting their power. Like he was
putting a ceiling with how much they could earn.
Well, they were losing his power, because now the cops have the power, right? And him, the commanding officer, because now it's like he's hands on. Like, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do this. Right. Before they had free reign. Yeah. Right. So they need to bring their own guy in, get rid of this guy, and bring their own guy in. Right. So on top of that, they hated him. All the lieutenants hated him. A lot of them transferred out.
So he was really tough on everyone.
Right. The only people that stayed were people who had interests to protect there, right?
Okay.
That's why they stayed.
You mean the good cops?
No, the bad lieutenants.
Okay.
Right. No, the cops weren't bothered at all.
Okay.
The cops were happy. The cops morale was up. The cops was like, finally we could do our job without the lieutenants messing with us and stuff like that. We could, actually do police work, right?
Okay.
So whatever the case is, one day I knocked on his door. I go, hey,
the lieutenant or the commander?
The captain, the commander.
The captain, commander. Okay.
So I knock on his door. I go, hey, boss, you got a minute? He's like, yeah, sure. What's up? I go, look, something I got to tell you, but I don't want to get involved, right? Because I know at that time, if you go undercover or work with IAB, you get transferred out after that.
And you didn't want that.
No. And I was like, listen, you have a hook. He has a hook. I don't have any hooks. This is my dream precinct. I love living here. I love working. I love working here. I'm helping my community. This was something I always wanted to do, right? And
it's your dream job,
right? So he's like, yeah, no problem. Don't worry about it. What's up? And I was like, look, somebody's trying to jam you up, which means somebody's trying to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, oh, what is it? So I could, protect myself. I'm like, somebody's trying to put fake rape charges on you. He's like, oh, okay. I think I might have an idea who it is. Like, if
he's not even surprised.
Yeah. Like,
Holy shit.
He was like, if I mention his name, just, give me a wink or something. Right. And he's like, Sung. Right. And I'm like, yeah. Well, he said Bobby, right? He said Robert.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, okay. He's like, all right, thanks. I'll keep in mind. Thank you for the heads up. Whatever.
That's like super casual.
Yeah.
That's not how I would have handled it.
I mean, he probably didn't know. So the commanding officer was probably like very cautious too. To
right. Right. But the thing is that he expected it anyway.
Right.
Right. So I walked out of his office. A week later, he calls me back into his office and he goes, hey, Steve, I had to drop a log with internal affairs to protect myself. Right. And a log means like a report.
Right. Right.
And internal affairs wants to know if you could get it on recording.
Yes. Put you on record.
Yeah. Right. Whew. And I'm like, do I have a choice? Because I told you I don't want to get involved.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, no, you don't really tell internal affairs no. Right.
Ooh.
And I'm like, okay, so I guess you're not asking me, you're telling me, right?
Yeah, so there goes your dream job.
Yeah, so I'm being voluntold. So I was like, so what would happen though? Like, what's going on? He's like, oh, don't worry about it. Nobody would know. You're just gonna get the rape charge on recording, and then whatever. Don't worry about it. Nobody would know. You're gonna stay here. I promise you that. Whatever. Okay, cool. Internal affairs will come to your house and they'll interview you and ask you what happened and so forth and so on. So they came, they interviewed me like maybe 3 times. All right, fine. They gave me devices. For a month, I'm trying to get it on recording. The first time I go in and be like, hey, what's up, Lou? How you doing? Yo, I think I found that thing that you want me to do. Like, I think I found someone. He's like, what are you talking about?
Oh, shit.
Because all the time it was him bringing it up to me.
You must have been like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was never me bringing it up to him.
So he found it suspicious that you said something. Oh, wow.
So he was like, wow. What do you mean? What are you talking about? And I'm like, finding a girl. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah. Did you find somebody? And I'm like, yeah. He was like, oh, okay. And then
so he kept it vague.
Right. So then I'm like, all right, whatever. So they were like, oh, you know what? Go out and drink with him, right? And maybe he'll get drunk and,
he'll loosen up a little bit.
Right, he'll loosen up and he'll mention it, right? And I'm like, so you want me to go hang out with this guy? Yeah, I mean, like,
did you do that normally? It kind of looks suspicious.
I hung out at karaoke with my friends,
right? But not
the
lieutenant.
No, not with him regularly, right? So all right, whatever. We go hang out. We go drink, right? I'm on the cover now, right? So it's like we go drink. They give me devices, and I noticed that when they're out, bro, they're wild. Like you think like our friends are wild out there? No. They're wild.
Like you're saying like they go out there, they drink hard, and then they beat people up, or what do you mean?
No, not beat people up. They don't need to beat people up.
Yeah,
because it's like they'll go in, tell the owner come in here. The owner will come in. what's going on? Where's our service? Where's our liquor? Blah 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 blah. And manhandling is like real straight
so
up
the
gangster.
Super.
It's like a mob.
Super
like
super
No,
gangster.
but even like gangs don't even really act like that.
Yeah, because they have respect.
Yeah.
They know the owner. They're respectful to the
They
person.
get like that if they get disrespected.
They like they
Right.
pull them to the side.
Or they have beef.
Or if they have beef. That's
Right.
it. That's
So
it.
it's-
Like if they're going in somebody else's karaoke.
Right.
Like if you get a Manhattan crew going up to like a Flushing crew.
Right.
And it's their spot and they know they're cool.
Right,
Then they'll
right,
go in there and start
right.
shit.
They act like a Joe Pesci in the mob movies.
Exactly. So they would go in and be like, yo, where's all the girls? What's going on? Yo, why you treating us like this? Where's the service? You want problems? Whatever, blah, blah. So they would get the girls for free, right? And they're not good customers. They're like grabbing them, trying to finger them, take them to the bathroom and rape them and type of stuff.
Wow.
One time I walked in to the room and the lieutenant is dry humping the girl on the speaker like hard, and she just turns around, looks at me like, help me, like, you know, and I'm like,
Whoa.
what the fuck did I just walk into?
Damn, that's some real bad guy
You know what I
shit.
mean? Like,
Yo.
so they'll do all their business in the bathroom. The owner will go in the bathroom with them, and then he'll come back out, you know, happy or whatever, because they're paying him off. Right? I didn't know at the time. I thought it was just like, yo, these guys are wild. Like, you know, and I told them Turnfield, I was like, yo, these guys are wild. Like, and it's not just them. It's when they go out, it's like the lieutenant, it's the detective, it's a different sergeant, it's, you know, people from Vice, it's people like a captain out there, you know, like,
Oh, shit.
it's wild. And they're hanging out with gangsters. And I'm telling them, yo, they're hanging out with gangsters because I know these people, right? And they're hanging out with gangsters and they're never paying for anything. Everything is free on the house, right? And on top of that, I think they're raping girls in the fucking bathroom and shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's wild.
This
So-
is crazy to me, man.
Yeah,
It's
so-
mind blowing.
You know what they said to me? Oh, don't worry about that. Just try to get the rape charge on tape. And I'm like, wait a second. I just told you it's a whole can of worms. They're doing big illegal shit, and all you care is a rape charge?
Why is that?
Because they knew, I think. They knew what was going on. They just didn't want to expose it because they knew that if they expose it, the network gets exposed, right? And it's like, it's not just him here. It's like Flushing because Flushing has a clique of cops that control Flushing. And then 8th Avenue in Brooklyn have a bunch of cops that control 8th Avenue in Brooklyn. And then 5th Precinct has a bunch of cops that control, 5th Precinct.
So it's all connected within the Chinatowns?
Right. So, but it's not just Chinatowns. It's Italian neighborhoods, same thing. They have Italian cops that control, Italian neighborhoods and stuff. It's a whole network. So it's like they have these all people set up in these places, controlling these areas, getting benefits from them, right?
It's like organized crime. It's like a RICO.
Wait, during all this,
More organized.
like
than
what goes through my
organized
head,
crime.
like, aren't you concerned for your life?
I grew up in
Because
that kind of,
that, especially during that time, snitches get stitches, right? So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're looking at you like you're a snitch. You're wearing a wire.
no,
and-
but they don't know. They don't know. And I grew up around.
but eventually they will know.
Yeah.
like after the fact, and they're
Right.
not going to be able to arrest everyone.
Right.
So
That's
whoever's
why,
left over may try to get at you.
Right. So that's why I cleared it with my friends in the street. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I cleared it with certain community leaders. Right. And they're like, we don't like them. We know what they're doing. They're hurting our community. They're poisoning our community.
Yeah, the street people, they don't like
Right.
the rapey stuff. I'll
Right.
tell you that. That's a red flag.
Yeah. And on top of that, they believe cops should be cops and gangsters are gangsters. You
Right.
can't be both.
Right.
Right. They gave me the green light.
Just the same thing. Like they don't think like if you're a school kid and you try to act gangster,
Right.
Everyone, like you can't be halfway in this
Right.
life.
There is no gray. It's only black and white.
Right.
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 And, they're like, do what you got to do. We're okay with it. We'll back you up if you're getting backlash from the community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So I actively told them, hey, look, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. They kept on saying, just worry about the rape charge. Just worry about the rape charge. And I go, hey, look, it's not just him. It's this cop also, this cop also, this cop also. No. Just worry about Lieutenant's son. All right? Just the lieutenant, just the rape charge. Okay, fine. couple months go by. One incident, I'm working, and they're telling me to do a check at JJY, which is Jimmy Lee's place, on Northern Boulevard and 149th in the basement.
I'm sorry. Who told you to do the check? IA, or was it the lieutenant?
Lieutenant. So this is the planning behind it. The captain purposely pressured the lieutenant to do a check there because they knew that we hung out there sometimes, right? So the captain purposely did a check, told him to do a check there, and then the lieutenant gave the heads up to the owner, right? And told the owner, this time we're doing the check. And he told me, Steve, go at this time. Nobody's going to be there. Don't worry about it. Just go there. It's going to be clean that time. So we go there at that time to do the check. I think we were running a little late because we had like an actual real job to do. We got there. There was one room, right? They had one room with customers. I told my cops, hey, go do your checks, right? They do the checks. They go, hey, Sarge, can you come here for a second? Sure. They have like 3 people in handcuffs. I go, oh, what do you got?
Whoa.
Yeah. And I'm like, what do you got? And he's like, oh, drugs. So they show me the ketamine, There was a female there that was a dealer and stuff. She had it in like a red red envelope, right? And, she had all the drugs in there. And I look at Jimmy, I'm like, yo, didn't the lieutenant talk to you? Because I wanted to get on tape. Give
them a heads up. Yeah.
I was like, didn't the lieutenant talk to you? And didn't Yam talk to you? He's like, yeah. I was like,
what's going on?
Supposed to be clean, right? What happened? And he's like, oh, I don't know them, blah, 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 whatever. He knew, right?
Right.
And he expected us not to check at all. But I'm new to the program, so I don't know this. Right. So I call the lieutenant. I call the internal affairs up first, and I go, "This is what happened. What do I do?" Call the lieutenant, see what he wants you to do. Maybe you can gain favor from him. Right. Call the lieutenant up. He doesn't pick up. Then I get a phone call back from Detective Yam. Right. And because Jimmy called him, and then he called and he goes, "Hey, Steve, where you at?" I'm like, oh, I'm at, so-and-so. He's like, what are you doing there? I'm like, oh, the lieutenant told me to do a check. He's like, oh, okay, you got people like in handcuffs or something? I was like, yeah. He's like, why? Because my cops did a check and they found drugs. What do you mean, why?
Yeah.
All right? He's like, bro, they know better. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, they're supposed to have their blinders on. I'm like, okay. So what do you want me to do? Let him go, because I don't think the lieutenant would like it because that's his place. I'm like, okay. So I call internal affairs back. I tell him what he said. They're like, yeah, let him go. I'm like, listen, these cops are good cops. They're going to let him go because they trust me to protect them, right? And if I ask them to let them go, would they be protected? They go, yeah. We're telling you let them go. We're internal affairs. We're giving you permission to let them go. Don't worry about it. They'll be identified, meaning protected, for letting them go, right? Because we're telling you let them go. This is important later on.
So you're giving the order to let them go now.
So I go and give the order to let them go. I go, hey guys, can you uncuff them, let them go. They're like, what the fuck? Why? I'm like, because I got a phone call. He was like, let me guess, a certain white shirt? And I'm like, yeah.
What's a white shirt?
Lieutenants and above wear like white shirts instead of blue.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah. He's like, what the fuck? This is bullshit. Why even tell us to do checks then? Why are we even here? Blah, blah, blah. It's a waste of fucking time. I can't believe we can't even do our job. They get pissed off, livid. They storm out. Right. Pissed off.
Every right. Every
right. Right. So then I, give Jimmy shit. I'm like, yo, don't let this fucking happen again. Blah, blah, blah. Look, you're causing my cops to be pissed off, whatever, and so forth. So, right. Next day, Detective Yam approaches me at the driveway of the precinct. And he's like, yo, thanks for doing that yesterday, blah, blah. If you ever need anything, this is like a long story short, right? If you ever need anything, let me know, and Jimmy will take care of you. Right? So, boom. That's my ticket in, right?
Yep.
So I'm telling internal affairs, look, this is what he said. I got on tape. Boom. I could get paid off by Jimmy. We could get him. We could trap him, right? We could prove the corruption. Oh, no, don't just worry about the rape charge.
What?
Exactly. So I'm like, wait, so this guy's offering to pay me off, get on the payroll, you don't want to take advantage of that. You want me to just still worry about the rape charge? You're not. Your internal affairs. You know what I mean? Like,
They're not trying to connect the dots here.
no,
Yeah.
at all. Right?
Don't they usually try to go for the whale? They're not trying to go for like a little.
No,
That tells
not
me
at all.
something like IA is IA corrupt?
Yes.
Oh shit.
Yes.
Whoa, big story. Whoa.
So
Mind blown, bro.
you kidding?
No.
What?
So this
I didn't see
look,
this twist.
I got
Plot twist.
You're destroying the ending.
Oh, I'm
Spoiler.
sorry.
Spoiler
I'm sorry.
alert.
Sorry, man.
I'm a detective.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. The ending is right. Internal affairs is nothing but damage control. Smoke and mirrors and PR for the NYPD.